Step out the tour bus, nobody knows us. Get in the car like... Gotta do louder than that.
I was trying to drink and then you interrupted me.
All night, order me pad thai, which I'm allergic to. Then we go sleep till noon. Click, click, click. Post. Drip, drip, drip. And go. Wouldn't that be nice? Kiss me and take off your clothes.
Did.
Hit it. Don't you know this song?
No.
Imagine a world like that. It's a new Ariana Grande song.
Oh.
I've only heard it twice.
I just said that with a lisp. That bubbling sound, by the way, was a hookah, not a bong. Yeah. Welcome. Welcome and welcome back to Dicks and Politics. This is episode 7. It's going to be a free-for-all. You got me, Samantha.
Me, Adriana.
And me, CorBen, your alternate co-host.
Yep.
This is kind of the lit episode that we were promoting.
We're going to just, ease you guys into the new year, I think. And next week's episode is going to be great, though, because we have a celebrity guest.
Ooh,
Yeah.
our first celebrity guest.
I know, I'm really excited. Actually, you know what? I have to, let me just take a second. This wine is, really hitting me now. Let me just take a second and say, Dicks and Politics, we took it so seriously. We still do. And we've been around for 10 seconds. We got a sponsorship in, under a month?
Episode 4.
Yeah, in under a month of doing this podcast. We have had a couple sort of public figures reach out to us and say, hey, loving the pod. No idea how they found us. Not a clue. Hey, love your podcast. Just listen to episode whatever the hell. I'm like, damn. All right. Well, all right then. CorBen is pursing his lips.
Making that some money.
Yeah. No, it's really great. It's wonderful. So, all right. I want to talk about New Year's. Mm-hmm. Not this past New Year's, but New Year's in general. Mm-hmm. Your best New Year's and your worst New Year's.
Okay, me first.
Yep.
So, being in Alaska, I think it's just the greatest thing. Because we do fireworks. And, it's in the dead of winter, which is awesome. So, our family friends of ours would always have it at their place, up in the cabins, up in the woods and the mountains. We'd all, congregate over there. And their cabin is like a 5-star cabin.
It's like a lodge.
It's
like a resort.
It's glamping.
No, I kid you not. I remember I took pictures. I posted it on Facebook at the time. And people were like, oh my gosh, where's CorBen at? Is he at a lodge? I was like, no, those are just our friends. That's their cabin.
Oh, excuse you.
It took them, I think, 2 to 3 years to make it because they're very much into architecture and they want things done their own
Can
way.
I have some of these?
Yeah.
Those are Kit
Hold
Kats,
on.
by the way, everyone.
Yes. Wait. This is ASMR Kit Kats.
Back to the story. And so my parents are really good friends with the fireworks stand, or one of the many firework stations that are in Alaska. And
Did you just say fireworks stand?
fireworks stand. Sorry.
Like a rickety little thing on the side of the road.
No, there's because in my hometown of North Pole, Alaska, there's 3, and they're all competing with each other for
The best stand.
the best stand. No, when I say stand, it's like a Connex with a cutout.
What the hell is a Connex?
A Connex is where you put storage in. It's like this huge unit.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like a Connex with a huge. Yeah. Anyways, so then there's 3 up in North Pole. As soon as you enter, before the candy canes.
I was picturing a lemonade stand.
Oh my god, that's so funny. No. So anyways, we get really good discounts on fireworks because fireworks I don't think people know this. Fireworks are
so
expensive. And easily a 15-minute show could be a couple $100,000 at least. Mm-hmm. So, so we're up in the mountains and we're shooting off fireworks, and the kids are upstairs in the loft, and we have not champagne, but what do we call it? Sparkling cider, and then we're counting down, and we're lighting off fireworks. It's the best time ever. Sure, it's -0, but I don't think I've ever had a worse or a bad New Year's.
Oh, fuck you.
I've never had a bad one. It's all been good.
Adriana, you go.
New Year's 2000, I think going into 2009 or 2010. No, 2010.
2010 was an awful year anyway.
Yeah, it was. But we rented a room, like a conference room in a hotel because we didn't want just a room. We had like 100 people coming. Mm-hmm. So we did that, and it was just a bunch of kids underage drinking. But it was really fun.
Okay. I think I've never had a good New Year's, to be perfectly honest. Being in the middle of nowhere in New England, first or second year I was actually able to drink legally. Going out with friends and just like not being able to find a good bar and then realizing, oh my god, everyone's having house parties, guess we missed the boat on that one. I was actually with Paige that night, who was unfortunately right on sort of the beginning of her addiction, and so she ended up ditching me midway through the night. But actually, this one's actually kind of funny. Not about Paige, but Paige leaves. It's myself and another girlfriend of mine, and we're sitting in a bar. Oddly enough, there's the parents of one of my ex-boyfriends from high school at the bar, and his sister working behind the bar. Great to see them, but it's New Year's Eve. I was single. I kind of was like, oh damn, I was hoping that maybe I could kiss someone at midnight. So we're sitting there, and this bar is like the size of a porta potty. It's tiny. And in walks this kid that graduated, I think, a year or two ahead of me. And I was like, oh my god, that's so-and-so. And he was very cute, and still walking into that bar, he was very cute. I mean, totally not my type. He came in carrying a skateboard. He was wearing like some sort of flannel on the outside with sheep wool on the inside, some sort of a bing bong.
Singing, he was a skater, but
yeah, I mean, I did say see you later, but he wasn't going to let me go that easy. So let me tell you how the night ended. So midnight rolls around, and my girlfriend had recently met a young man on plentyoffish.com.
Oh my god.
And she asked, hey, is it cool if he comes and hangs out with us for New Year's? We go over, we meet him in the commuter parking lot. His hair looked like the McDonald's logo, parted in the middle, going over on either side. He was maybe 90 pounds, maybe. So thin. And so I just when you're living in the middle of nowhere, and I don't think this is just New England, I think this is anywhere, you do kind of take what you can get. So I flagged this flannel dude over. I said, hey, come sit with us. How's it going? About 3 seconds into the conversation, I realized he's absolutely obliterated. And I'm like, oh, geez, okay, well, this is, got my ex-boyfriend's parents sitting right over there. I'm like, oh, geez, come on, can this get any worse? Well, it did. So we all decided to go outside for the stroke of midnight. It's about negative 20 degrees outside. It's so cold. I'm wearing some awful bandage dress with some mesh netting at the top and these cheetah platform high heels, because that was just all the rage back then. We're all looking at our cell phones trying to figure out when midnight actually is. Stroke of midnight comes. My friend is kissing her skinny little McDonald's hair guy. Flannel shirt guy leans over to give me a kiss. I'm like, oh, for Christ's sake, So then I said, well, this has just been a colorful evening, and I am ready to go home. Flannel shirt guy, would you like a ride home? I cannot possibly allow you to skateboard in this weather. And he's like, that'd be great. So we drive him home. It's just around the corner. Park, and he says, why don't you guys come in for a second? Let's have a beer. And my friend is like, yeah, let's go in. I'm like, oh, for Christ's sake. So we go inside, and my friend takes her little McDonald's haircut man, brings him into the bathroom, and I'm like, well, that's the end of that. So I'm standing there, and I'm so not interested at all. And so I'm standing there, and I see that this flannel shirt man had a guitar. I play the guitar. I said, hey, this is a great Gibson. Oh my God. Where did you get this? It looks really old, but I love it. Blah, 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 blah. I'm looking at this guitar. I realize he's not responding to me. I turn around to discover that at the request of absolutely nobody, this flannel shirt guy has completely I go to the bathroom, I'm banging on the door. I'm like, girl, we gotta go. And all you can hear is just this banging around in the bathroom. You know, someone's pulling down a shower curtain. There's toilet paper flying around all over the place. Shampoo bottles crashing to the floor. I'm banging on the door. I'm like, hey, we're at stage 5. We gotta go right now. And so she's like, I'll be right out. I'm like, get out here now. So now I look back at flannel shirt guy. He's sprawled out on his bed with his guitar, stroking it. And by it, I mean his guitar, not his other. And I am like, we need to go. So I kick open the bathroom door. And I'm like, we are leaving now. I grab my friend. She grabs McDonald's guy. I go, well, I wish you a happy new year and thank you very much for this. He's like, oh, you guys leaving already? Then it gets better. Then his phone rings. Hold on, you guys. So, hold on. Hello? Hey, baby. Yeah, no, I'm alone. Uh-huh. I love you. Yeah, you coming over later? Okay. Yeah.
I'm dead.
Love you. Yeah, love you. Bye. And I'm like, well, I am going to leave you and your guitar and your sweaty butt crack.
Ew.
And I'm gonna go. I never spoke to him again. I throw my friend and her McDonald's man in the car, bring the McDonald's man back to the parking lot, you know, and I could tell she was kind of hoping that, like, maybe he could come back to my family's house and, like, hang out for a little bit. I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I threw McDonald's man in his Dodge Stratus, and I sent him back to wherever it was he came, and Linda and I went home, and that was goodbye.
I remember I was working at Radio City. This was before I left for Disney, and my mom had come to see this particular show, and they were starting to block off the roads there's like a certain amount of like between this street and the street that they block it off, and people were already camping out. People were already starting to get ready for the ball drop. I was like, this is too much. Like, why would you be out here in the freezing? Why do this to yourself? Like,
see, and that's why we did the whole thing on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Because it's like, I can see why people might want to do that because it's just a few hours. It's
right.
You know, whatever. But like, I agree with you. The whole New Year's Eve in Times Square thing, there are no bathrooms. People literally come and have to wear adult diapers.
Yeah.
Because there's nowhere to use the restroom.
And it's freezing cold.
Yeah, it's freezing cold. There's nothing fun. There's nothing romantic.
and you're literally like huddled. It's like you're in the club and you're huddled up. There's no room to breathe.
No, you can't dance. You can't
And you're
move.
stuck. You are stuck. Try getting out of that crowd.
Oh yeah, and once they let you into a certain area, they don't let you out.
Nope.
Like it's closed off.
It's closed off. Like that's it.
I can't foresee going out there during New Year's when that's crazy.
Do you guys remember a few weeks ago when I had an allergic reaction to my Kylie Jenner?
That was my favorite moment of 2018.
I think that must have been the absolute highlight of my 2018.
Meanwhile, she's
this
sending picture
bitch-
updates.
This bitch
Oh my god.
sends a video in our chat, in our iMessage group chat.
Maybe I'll put it up on our Instagram.
She
Dead.
says, I think I got an allergic reaction to my Kylie Jenner.
My lips were so big. They were so. It
You
was
look
so
like
funny.
a Simpson character.
But hey, at least it was not an injection that you had to pay for.
No, it was just a nice, good old allergic reaction.
It
You know
did it
how
justice.
I roll.
You know, it's Kylie Jenner lipstick. What do you think it's gonna do to you?
On that note of allergic reactions, 'cause I know some people who are very sensitive, like say peanuts, which is the most common. Even having, through secondhand, someone who touched someone else, that's how sensitive some people are about when it comes to allergic reaction. It's
Even just the scent.
When I
sometimes.
start dating a guy, if I go out on a first date with a guy, and we're vibing, and he's ordered shellfish or something, I'll say midway through, be like, listen, buddy, you are not getting a smooch from me tonight because I am allergic to your mouth.
Damn.
Well, do you remember when we went out to eat and we were away for the holidays?
Oh my god.
Wait, tell the story.
Listen, honey. This was honey.
To set the scene, we'd gotten some margarita tickets. Said, hey, if you go to this particular restaurant, you can have umpteenth drinks.
We were downtown in this cute little New England town, and we went into a store, and I know one of the gentlemen who owns it, and he said, hey, what are you guys doing tonight? And we said, oh, it's about 7:30 now. We're going to be asleep in an hour. He's like, no. This new restaurant in town is offering complimentary margaritas. Here, take a couple of drink tickets. And we were absolutely tickled. So we finished our shopping and we went over there. And we order our drinks and the waiter says, hey, what would you like to get? CorBen and I decided that we wanted to get the fish tacos, which I said, hey, are these fried? He said, yes. I said, okay, do you fry them in the same oil as you fry other shellfish and mollusks? Because I am allergic. He goes, let me go check. He comes back, he says, yes, it is. I said, all right, is there any chance I could get them pan-seared? He said, yeah, absolutely, no problem. I said, look, I am allergic to nuts, seeds, shellfish, and mollusks, right? Mm-hmm. And he goes, all right, no problem. Goes to the kitchen, whatever. We're drinking our margaritas. We're having a fun time. He brings our food out. I took one bite of my taco.
Didn't even chew. Just
took a bite of it.
Oh my God.
You should have seen the look. I mean, CorBen can describe the look on my face because immediately I could taste sesame oil.
She was like, taste this.
So I didn't even chew, held it in my mouth, handed the taco to CorBen, and said, could you please just take a bite of this and tell me if there's sesame oil in it? He takes a bite and he goes, yep. So I gracefully get up, I walked into the bathroom, I disposed of the food, I rinsed out my mouth. Because oil is scary. Oil spreads like wildfire. You've got to be so careful with that stuff.
Meanwhile, the hostess comes back, a friend of yours from way back when.
Yeah, and she goes, hey, is everything okay? And I'm like, girl, this is either I'm hallucinating or this is smothered in sesame oil. I'm extremely allergic, and I told my waiter that ahead of time.
So then
Meanwhile, the waiter comes over, and he's like, hey, is everything all right? And I very, very calmly, I was like, I'm okay, but this has sesame oil, blah, blah, blah. It was his, first night working. Yeah. He felt so bad. My friend felt so bad. So they're like, we will fix this right away. They took the food away. And you know what? And I have to say, and I'd like you to attest to this, I was pretty chill about it.
Oh, yeah, you were really calm.
Yeah, I was like, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I went to the bathroom. I've got my margarita. And they're like, oh, we'll bring you another. I'm like, whenever you get a chance. I'm so happy to be sitting down and relaxing with my friend. It's all good. I'm happy to wait. So.
Meanwhile, 8 minutes later.
They bring my food out again. And I'm halfway through it. Everything's just fine. And suddenly I see a gentleman barreling towards me. Now, I knew that this was the owner of the restaurant, but for some reason he looked angry. So he comes over to me and he goes, yeah, so next time you do something like this, you need to send a note back to the kitchen so that we can be sure that we don't cross-contaminate.
An allergy card.
Oh.
And then he goes, I have owned many restaurants in New York City, and everyone there has an allergy card. And I took a breath, I took a beat, and I said, first of all, I'm fine. Thank you very much for asking. Now, I live and work in New York City, have for the past 5 years. I dine in the shittiest and the shiniest restaurants in the city, both personally and professionally, and never, not once, have I been asked to send an allergy card back to the kitchen for the next time I, quote, do something like this.
I've never even heard of that.
And he's like, yeah, well, I'm just saying. I'm like, yes, as am I. And I stared him down and he walked away. Meanwhile, my friend who was a waitress there and our waiter were standing there in horror. Mortified. And he created quite a scene. I kept very calm and composed. So, long story short, they were shaking. They were like, we are so sorry about the food. We're so
bartender
sorry
comes
about
over.
him.
She gives us these
bartender
drinks.
comes over and she's like, this is okay. So this is sipping tequila. It's $100 a shot. It's really smooth. I hope you like it here. And then the wonderful young woman that made all of the desserts. She was the pastry chef. She brought over her own concoction, a custom-made dessert, and she's like, I know this probably won't make up for it, but this is a homemade ice cream, and it has elderberry in it, and blah 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 blah. It was delicious. I felt so bad for these people, not only because they felt bad, but also because they have to work for someone like that. I tell you, I said this earlier, I was a waitress once upon a time and a bartender. You have never met a harder working person than a waitress, I'm telling you, or a waiter. There's nothing. And so now, CorBen and I, we were very certain they wouldn't let us pay for our meal. And so we said, pish posh, that's nonsense. Yeah. So we bought a very expensive bottle of wine, paid for it, and we left a sizable tip. In cash so that they could stick it right in their pocket and it wouldn't have to go through the whole system of their...
Which wound up being the total amount of our actual bill anyways. We're
happy to pay. Yeah. Even like with the whole allergic reaction, like I'm happy to pay. The cost of running a restaurant, a small business is substantial. I don't want to put anyone out, but man.
And then you said going out, which I thought was so good. Good service does not always come from the top because they went out of their way. Mm-hmm. And like I felt like I was being waited on hand and foot. Mm-hmm. First the hostess, then the bartender, then the patient.
I even felt like from the beginning when we walked in.
Oh, from the moment we walked in. Oh, yeah.
I thought our waiter
she was like, Sam, and you were like, hey, girl, what's going on? Like, it was amazing, and they were so lovely. But
just nuts.
But nuts. And then you were like, did that really just happen? Because prior to that, Sam had taken me out because we did a little bit of shopping. She took me to this really, really nice restaurant near the Lincoln Center. And this is a very prestigious restaurant. And the owner comes back to check. No, the chef comes back to check 6 times. Hey, I just want to make sure these are your allergies, right? Mm-hmm. She came back 6 times.
To be sure. Oh. And then they were sure to bring our food out in a very timely fashion at the same time. Yeah. And so she brought it out. But then the chef himself came up, not disheveled. I'll tell you that we were at the Smith. There you go. We'll say it. We were at the Smith in Lincoln Center, Lincoln Square, whatever. The chef himself came up. Good morning. How's everyone doing? Wanted to be sure. Is the food okay? Does it taste all right? I was sure to take a couple herbs out of it, and I said it was absolutely delightful. But here's the thing. His food allergies are no joke, and restaurants alike need to take them very seriously. I have never come across a restaurant that wasn't happy to accommodate, whether I'm paying $5 for a meal or, $150 just for myself. But yeah, that was definitely a pit
that was an
of
experience.
2018. Outside of the work and all that stuff, which we all know sucked this year, that was not good. Yeah. And we were livid by the time, Actually, we were okay by the time we left because we had that wine, but it was not cute. It was not cute. So now on a happier note, and we appreciate you guys just joining us for this sort of free-for-all episode. We figured everyone's going to be tired, hungover, and pissed off to be back at work. So let's talk about what we can look forward to in 2019, just in terms of the podcast itself. So we have our new special edition that's coming out. It's going to be out on a quarterly basis. It's called Microscope, but it's with a K instead of a C because it's with our friend Mike. He's getting his PhD in microbiology, and we're going to be talking about global warming from a scientific standpoint. What is actually being discovered? What can we expect in the future? And what, if anything, can we do to help as a person, as a society? I've been very fortunate because, as I said a few episodes ago, I posted about Dixon politics on my LinkedIn. I've got over 1,000 professional contacts, all of whom know me to be very professional and buttoned up. So when I spread the word, I was like, oh, geez, what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. And I've actually gotten a lot of messages from my former clients and colleagues saying, hey, just listen to the most recent episode. It was hysterical. I'm like, geez, all right. So in that spirit, we've kind of decided that maybe we can push the envelope a little bit, and Adriana is very excited to tell you because we're going to have a special, probably close to Valentine's Day, on fetishes.
I kind of want to say it's a sex educational episode on different types of fetishes and what's out there and why people do it and why they're into it. Just because I actually have a personal experience with the fetish community. Mm-hmm. That's all I'll say.
And we'll do it in a way that's educational, like you said, because look, sex is a normal part of life. Everyone, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but every adult engages in sex, and we all have our preferences, so why the hell not?
And we'll give some tips on how to spice it up for Valentine's Day as well. I mean, why not?
I will stay quiet. You can give them tips. I have no tips. I have no suggestions.
Sam, do I tell all my tricks? Or
Maybe.
What am I going to do?
Well, we've got a couple months to think about it, but I'm excited. And CorBen is going to join us for that episode as well, because I'd like for you to talk about it from the perspective of a gay man. And are there any similarities in the gay community versus the hetero community? Are there differences? We could maybe compare and contrast.
Well, I'll say this. Let me share this story, because I think this is all too interesting. So before I came to New York, I worked at a hotel. Mm-hmm. I worked as lawn maintenance and a housekeeper. One day, one day, I went in to go clean a room, and what I found left over was purple sex tape, a whip, handcuffs.
Wait, what is sex tape?
It's kind of like duct tape, but it's like it's
like a restraint kind of.
Latex. It's like latex.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, I found purple sex tape, a dildo, handcuffs, and a whip, and a feather. And I was like, wasn't there?
They left all that?
Well, yes.
That's expensive.
But wait, it gets good. So then I go downstairs and I tell the front desk, and I was like, hey, wasn't there that conservative couple? And I was like, and she's like, yeah, I think there was. Well, this is what I found, X, Y, and Z, and I showed her, and I said, looking at that couple is very interesting, because like you would never suspect, right? But it wasn't for her. That's all I'm gonna say.
Help!
I can relate.
Believe me, she was not in them straights. It was him.
Geez.
But it's just so interesting that you see people the one way presented and they're all buttoned up, but then they have all these sexual deviances or their inhibitions.
That's what I want to cover when we do this, because there's just a lot out there that we don't really know about.
And there's nothing to be ashamed of, but it's there are things specifically reserved for the bedroom, and then there's the professional
there's the
place.
boardroom.
Yeah, then there's the boardroom.
Right.
I mean, look, I think as long as it is consensual and no one is being hurt, then I say go for it. I personally don't have any experience with this, but I did have a girlfriend whom I no longer speak to, and she was dating an older gentleman who was a doctor and whatever, and he would sort of, I didn't like the way that he treated her. Long story short, he came home one day with some items, and she conceded, or
Consent.
She gave consent and whatever. And then she was talking to me about it later, and she said, Sam, I couldn't help but feel so violated. And I'm like, girl, that is not good with stuff like that. Like, it's something you need to talk about. You need to be informed. And your partner needs to recognize that if you're not comfortable with it, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Period, point blank, that's it.
Yeah.
Now, there's one more thing that I want to talk about, and I'll get through it really quickly. So you guys know we have our segment Endgame, which I know everybody loves. I do want to let you know that it's going to be on pause, maybe just for a little bit. There was a certain resource that I was using to find young men to speak with here in New York City, and I went to log into this resource and realized that I had been completely locked out. So I emailed the company. I said, hey there, what's going on? And they wrote me back, and they said that my account had been permanently blocked and deleted due to a violation of their terms, conditions, and community guidelines. So I wrote back and I said, hi there, I think there must be a misunderstanding. My name is Samantha. I have a podcast. I gave them the link to the website. I gave them the write-up about the segment. I even sent over the document. So when gentlemen agreed to do Endgame with us, they sign a confidentiality agreement, which is to protect themselves. It's us saying, here's how we're going to protect you. And we also have a volunteer agreement, which maps out everything they can expect, so there's no surprises, so on and so forth, right? And it was a very nice email, and I explained sort of what we were doing and whatever. They wrote back to me, and it was like a generic email that it was like like a pre-written.
Yeah, it was just like an automated.
Yeah, thank you, an automated email, and they're like, please note that we have investigated this to the furthest extent, and our decision is final. And I popped off. I 100% popped off.
It was bullshit.
It was absolute bullshit. I wrote back and I said, I cannot believe for a company that has a female CEO that you won't even this is the treatment that I'm getting. I reported over a dozen times being sexually harassed on this, using this resource. You know, these were men that would come on, and before I could even say, hey, good afternoon, because I'd like to say this. In my bio, it clearly states, I am not here to date you. I am looking for men to interview for my podcast that's called Dicks and Politics, for a segment called Endgame. I gave them the link to my website, and my profile picture was me recording the podcast. So I couldn't have been more clear. And before conversations got started, I said, hey, you know, how's it going? Hope all is well. Did you have a chance to read my bio? Because I wanted to be as transparent as I could be up front. Now, there were some men that just didn't read it and didn't care. I had guys getting racist. I had guys telling me that they wanted to tie me up and bang. I mean, it was disgusting what I was getting. So, and I said that in the email. I said, I reported being sexually harassed using your this resource that you've created for your customers. And I had my co-hosts on this resource as well. They were still seeing these guys long after I had reported them. But I'm following the rules. I read over the terms and conditions and community guidelines. I am in no way, shape, or form in violation of anything. But because some horny guys whom I refused to cater to satisfy, to, you know, whatever you want to call it, report my profile because I won't sleep with them, and you shut me down? Really?
Right, and you would think a woman who's the CEO would prioritize other women being harassed, but they just send you that automated message and then just keep saying, nope, sorry, that's it, that's the final decision.
Yep.
I feel like they didn't even look into it, which is an insult.
No, I mean, yes, it is an insult, and no, I don't think they looked into it at all, and it really triggered me, and I've been thinking about that heavily for the past 3 weeks. It's really, really been bugging me. You know, but I'd also like to point out this, all right? Notice that when we do Endgame, we're not asking guys how big they are, what their favorite position is, you know, what their preferences are, like, you know, what do you like in bed? We're asking them, hey, tell us about your experience. What are you looking for? What are you actually finding? And then what dating culture shifts, if any, would you like to see actually happen? And what actions are you making to see that it becomes so? You know, there's other, you know, I'm not going to dig at any other podcast, but it just, the whole thing was really disappointing. I have a feeling I'll probably cross paths with this CEO because we both work in tech, and if I ever do, I'm going to be more than happy to march right over and give her a piece of my opinion. But anyways,
I just want to add on to that, because looking forward into the rest of the year, we also want to come out with a special on like rape, right? Aren't we doing a special on rape and sexual harassment and stuff like that? We want to touch on that. So there's going to be that too.
Yep. That's going to be
a When I Knew episode.
Yeah, that's going to be a When I Knew episode. Yeah.
So we definitely want to cover like the whole Me Too thing.
Yeah. And that's, you know, I think the reason why we wanted to do Endgame in the first place was because it was very clear to us that there were many, many men out there that are quite lovely, but that there are a lot that aren't. And we want to state very clearly that it's not cool, it's not welcome, and it's not going to fly. So, with that being said, lots to look forward to. On next week's episode, we have our very first celebrity guest that is going to be on the show. I'm really excited about that. And we're going to walk down memory lane a little bit. We're going to talk about the 90s and the 2000s. What did we wear? What did we listen to? Yes. What were we snacking on? And what the hell were we thinking? Amongst other things, we're also going to have another special guest join us for What's Burning next week. This is a gentleman who is a friend of mine, and he has a very similar job to mine. We both work in sales. But we're going to talk about the current presidency and how it has affected our ability to trade with other countries on a business level. And it'll be interesting because I know that this gentleman he's pro-Trump. That's who he voted for. He stands by that vote. And I'm really interested to hear what he has to say. So thank you again for joining us. I'm astounded with not with how successful this has been, because we put a lot of work into it, but I'm so glad that it's really resonating with people, and we appreciate your support so much. So I am Samantha.
I'm Adriana.
And I'm CorBen.
And you've just listened to Dicks and Politics.
Thank you for listening to Dicks and Politics.
Digestible and unfiltered content about men, money, and moments.
New episodes every Wednesday.
Don't forget to subscribe.